Hello, this is Sean from Ingested, and you are watching Richard Metalfan.
Hey, what's up, guys? Episode 384 of Richard Metal Fan Interviews, calling from Zoom, and I'm here with Sean Hynes from the almighty Ingested. So, how are you doing today, Sean?
Good, mate. You? How are things?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's a good afternoon here in Georgia in the USA. How is it over in old Manchester, England?
It's wet, rainy, miserable
Yeah,
as usual.
yeah, it's like a stereotypical like English thing, the weather and shit.
Yeah, I like it though, man. It's I'm used to it.
Yeah, but it's great to be able to have you here. So, kind of the format of the show is I want to talk about like your musical history and sort of do a rundown of your discography. But taking back to young Sean Hines. So, growing up in the UK, what were the first bands that got you into metal and what made you want to start playing guitar?
I remember. Well, my dad used to work on the radio. He used to be a presenter on radio, so he used to get loads of CDs sent to him from all over the place. And I remember like it's probably around 94, 95 that he got White Zombie Astro Crypt 2000. And then he had this. I remember getting this Kerrang CD that had Iced Tea, well, Body Count on it. Um, who else was on it? Fucking Biohazard, stuff like that. Oh, Machine Head was on it. So those are kind of the earliest things I remember in terms of guitar and like hearing metal for the first time properly. So yeah, I mean the guitar thing was, yeah, I was really late to the game on that. I was like 16 when I picked up the guitar. Um, just for anyone else, is you want to get in a band, you want to start playing, playing riffs and stuff. So yeah, I was pretty late to it, but yeah, that's kind of my jam there, man.
And then I was like doing my research. I guess like your first band, if not one of your first bands, was at Age of Suffering with you and Lynn. You did the Holy Butchery EP. So tell me about that. Like I was like listening to it beforehand, getting ready for this interview, and it just sounds like it's something from like the '90s. So tell me about that.
Age of Suffering was just basically the prototype Ingested. It was exactly the same members as Ingested when Ingested started, but the only difference was Lynn. We had a drummer at the time called Alistair for Age of Suffering. Then once Alistair went and we got Lynn, we knew Lynn could handle much faster tempos and stuff. So we decided to change the name and scrap all the material and start again, basically. So that was, yeah, basically Ingested, but with a different drummer.
Yeah. Yeah, but then tell me about like the moment like Ingested became Ingested because Ingested formed in 2006. So tell me about
hmm
like that making it like officially like, hey, we are Ingested.
Well, I remember getting into the practice space and trying to like get Lynn to learn the Age of Suffering stuff. And I don't know. I think we just turned around and went, I don't know. We just dropped it. We said, let's start again because this sounds old and this is pretty slow and you can play really fast. I think we all just agreed to just scrap it and start from scratch at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and this year does also mark a special year for Ingested because this year does also mark 20 years since of Ingested. Got to think about it, Sean.
Yeah.
20 years of
It's
Ingested. Like,
crazy.
did you guys think that you'd be around for 20 years?
No, probably not. I mean, we probably shouldn't have lasted this long, but we've scraped through, and we're still going. Well, me and Lynn are still going, but yeah, it's kind of mad to think about that. 20 years is a long time, man.
Yeah.
It's difficult for me to quantify what that is, man. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and being as it's also now the Ingested's 20th anniversary, is there any like celebrations for 20 years of Ingested?
I mean, I had a conversation with Lynn recently about it, but obviously we're quite busy around that time. So, we're on Chaos and Carnage when we turn 20. We've got a new album coming out soon. So it's like, it's going to be difficult to kind of properly celebrate it at the right time. But I think we'll try and do something. I mean, at least if we get a merch line out or just something to mark the occasion, yeah.
Yeah. And I know around the same time, like in from '06 to '08, I want to talk a little bit about Crepitation that you were a
Mm.
part of. Like, tell me about that.
Well, that's how we met Lynn. Lynn was the drummer for Crep, and we used to share the same practice space. And at the time, I think Crep had a massive member exodus, and so they needed new members. And it was kind of agreed upon that if I would go to Crepitation, then Lynn would come to Ingested, and we'd just share. Like that was kind of like the agreement. I was like, well, I know you want the drummer, but we need a guitarist. So if you join us, you can join you. And that was kind of basically what he did. And we used to like split rehearsal time in half, save us a bit of money. We used to do that back in the day, man. I mean, Lynn would do full practices with the two bands, and then yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, stuff's going back into Ingested. You started playing locally around like Manchester and the UK and stuff. And then you got signed to your first label, Siege of Armida Records. So, how did they find Ingested?
Um, I think they came to a London show, if I remember correctly. I think Jamie, who was part of Siege with Darren, I think he come and caught us down at the Purple Turtle because I think some of the guys already on the label had mentioned to Jamie about us. I think the boys that had Dead Beyond Buried at the time mentioned to Jamie, and I think Jamie came down and said, "Look, I'm interested. And I want to sign you guys." And back then, I'd see the Dead Beyond Buried CDs in the shops and stuff, and it was like, well, this label's got better distro because we actually were on a label before that called Grind Ethic, kind of more of like a handshake deal. But our first split came out with Grind Ethic, and the plans were to release an album with Grind Ethic, but obviously the temptation and the offer of signing with a bigger label and much more reach was just too hard to turn down. So that's kind of what we did.
Yeah. And then, of course, going to 2009, you released Suppressing the Boundaries of Human Suffering. In my opinion, one of the
Yep.
most underrated death metal debut albums of all time. Like, so
Good
what
man.
was sort of like the whole writing and recording process being this was sort of like the debut full-length Ingested album?
I mean, we're on a shoestring budget. And I think we only had like a £1,500 to do the whole thing. We got Toshi. Most of the money spent on it was the fucking artwork with Toshi. But yeah, I mean, we went down to this at the time. Siege went to the same guy, a guy called Stu McKay at Studio Six, and he was like running that out of some really haggard barn. It was fucking weird, man. And we ended up staying in the live room and for 2 weeks there, living off like fucking pot noodles and microwave pizzas and shit. It was a tough experience and it was a tough recording process. But we were young back then. We didn't give a shit. We were super excited to just to record our debut album and just get it out. But yeah, good memories doing that, man.
Yeah. And then when the album first came out, did you started touring like outside of like the UK for the first time? Was it just locally?
Yeah, we didn't really tour that much even back then. I think the first time we ever played out of the UK, we really was in 2007. We did a Swiss festival called Mountains of Death, which was kind of a funny experience. But yeah, that came out in '09. I think we only done two tours. We did a UK tour with Annotations and Autopsy in just after we got out of the studio, actually. I think it was around October, November time. So we did that. That was only a couple, I think maybe a week. And then in 2009, as that album was coming out, we did a tour with another UK band called Trigger the Bloodshed, and that is all we did then. That was the only two we ever did. The first time we got out properly out into Europe though was 2010 with Black Dahlia Murder.
Cool. Cool. And then kind of also in that same year, 2009, you were a part of like the split with
Your mic, okay, your mic.
yeah. Yeah, you did like the fermenting in five ways
Sorry,
split fifth filth with a decrepit womb. Womb, it's sort of like a split where you did the vocals. So tell me about that.
sorry. Start again. Something's going funky with my input here.
Yeah.
What was the question?
And
What was the question?
yeah, it's sort of the same year in 2009, you were part of the band Decrepit Womb, and you actually
Yeah,
did some vocals on the split Fermenting in Five-Way Filth. Hell of
yeah,
a
man.
title.
You've
So
yeah. I mean, I always forget I did that. You've done your homework, man.
yeah, get thank
Yeah,
Metal Archives for this shit.
we basically we had there was a young guy called Sammy Irwin back then. He was like 15, 16. And me and Sam, our old guitarist, used to speak to him a little bit, and he was trying to get a little project off the ground, and we just offered. We said, "We'll do it. We'll do vocals just for a laugh." And we ended up doing that split. Yeah, it was me, Sam, and Sammy. And Sammy ended up joining. Well, Sammy ended up forming Employed to Serve, a UK band. But yeah, that was yeah. Just I did the one. I did the one EP, and then Sam stayed on and actually did more stuff with him. I couldn't be bothered with it because I don't know, I just couldn't find the time for it. So Sam continued with Decrepit Moon for maybe a couple of years after that, but I just did that one EP, and I did a guest spot in one show, and then that was kind of me done with that, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the 2010, and not a lot of people know this, like you and Lynn were part of Annotations of an Autopsy. You did the Reign of
Yes, we
Darkness
were.
album. Like, tell me about this, because I think this is a very underrated album.
Good time, man. It was fun. Yeah, I mean, Lim was drafted into fill in for annotations for a European tour with the Acacia strain back in 2000 and I think it was 2008, summer 2008 probably. And the bassist also couldn't do it. So Lynn basically gave me a call 2 days before the tournament. Right, we need you someone to play bass, and I've told them you should do it. And I was like, okay. I remember getting the train down, well up to lower stuff where they were based, and I was learning the set on the train. Um, Lynn ended up joining full time after that, whereas I kind their bass player came back, did a few things, and then we ended up playing a Welsh festival called Heavy Fest. And I was drafted in to fill in for that again. I don't know why Ross couldn't do it at the time, but I just said, "Look, I'll join your band, man. I keep doing this. You might as well just hire me." So then they hired me, and we ended up going in and doing Reign of Darkness, which is pretty cool. Obviously, being young at the time, and it was getting mixed by Eric Rutan, and Eric Rutan was doing guest vocals on it. I was like, "Whoa, this is fucking crazy!" Being a Nuclear Blast record, it was like, "This is big time, man!" Like, so it was pretty exciting, but as soon as that came out, actually, I think we'd left before it came out, me and Lynn, but we started to get proper tour offers for Ingested, and I think they just couldn't handle, like, couldn't really work out, the time schedule stuff because they were getting offers as well, and it was like our priority was always Ingested. And I think Lynn, for some reason, I think Lynn had really pushed to leave, and it's like, you know, if he was gone, I was gone, basically. He said he was leaving. I didn't feel the need or want to stay in the band without Lynn being there. So we kind of just parted ways at that point.
Yeah. And then kind of going to the next year, 2011, you did the next Injection album, The Surreption. Like this
Yeah.
album, a great follow-up to Suppressing. So did you feel like pressure to follow up Suppressing going into the Surreption?
Yeah, it was a weird time for us, man, and weird time in the music scene. Um, we'd obviously started embracing different influences, mainly, things like Whitechapel, Despise Icon, and that started to leak in a little bit, I think. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember why we didn't specifically keep the slam sound. I think we just ended up. I know it sounds cliche, but just started growing up a little bit in terms of what we wanted to write, and that kind of came out. But I think obviously people label that as like the deathcore album, but I think there's certain things in there you can hear what we eventually ended up doing. Do you know what I mean? I think it was a good precursor to what Ingest is kind of known for. But yeah, I'm glad we ended up redoing it. We re-recorded it completely
Yeah.
during COVID and got that done because we always felt that was a weird. It sounded weird, man.
Yeah,
Um,
so you just like because it pretty much led me into the next question because I know you re-recorded it in 21.
yeah,
Was because it
yeah.
was like the 10-year anniversary. Did you want to make like sonically sound more kind of better?
And we just wanted it to fit in the catalog a little better because that always stuck out and felt a little bit. We went too far one way. It was a little bit too, I don't know, natural sounded in certain areas, and it was just weird, man. It didn't gel well with the rest of the catalog. Whereas I think Surreption 2 works so much better sonically as part of our catalog. Do you know what I mean? And I'm very proud of the Surreption 2. I'm glad how it turned out. A couple of little changes we did here and there. It just, to me, it sounds better. So I'm glad we did it.
Cool. And then kind of going into before the Architect of Distinction in 2013, you did the Revered by No One, Feared by All EP. Because I'm always
Hmm.
curious, because anytime when bands do like an EP or if it's like in between like two full lengths, I always feel like that's like the appetizer, kind of like the like a sneak preview trailer for the next album. Was that something to like hold fans over before you did the Architect of Extinction?
Honestly, the band nearly broke up.
Oh,
Um,
really?
there was a period of about 2 years where we really weren't doing much. Like writing was kind of at a low. Lynn had moved to London, was like managing restaurants and shit. We all kind of his priority was his work life at that point, and it was just like it was like it was falling apart a little bit. And I don't know. I think I got fed up and went. I said to Sam, our guitarist, I said, "Let's just fucking write an EP. Let's just do something, and hopefully get the the excitement back in the band." And luckily, it worked. Like we went in, did that EP. I remember us being super excited to get in there. Loved what we did, and then at the end of that EP recording session, I just said, "Look, we're going to book in for the album at this date, and we just got to be ready for it." And that's kind of what we did. We did that EP. I think it was like 4 or 5 months later, we were like back in doing a full length. So it saved the band essentially doing that EP.
Yeah, and then going into the Architect of Extinction, a great album. This holds a place in my heart because this was the album that I discovered Ingested on. This was like around
Yeah.
2016, like a year after this came out. So tell me about making this.
Yeah, I mean, it was similar to what we did with Revered by No. It was the same studio again. me and Sam just knuckled down and wrote that album together. I mean, that was the. I mean, the Surreption was mainly me because Sam was busy in university, so I ended up taking a lot of the writing responsibilities for the Surreption musically, and yeah, me and Sam just pretty much 50-50 the architect. We just back and forth riffs, which is why it's pretty chaotic structurally in certain songs. It's very like riff to riff to riff. Like it's kind of crazy because we essentially were just doing riff to riff back and forth from each other and just making something, sounding pretty intense. So yeah, it's pretty quick turnaround for that album. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I know on the album you had like a bunch of guest features. Like I know you had Alex Terrible from Slaughter to Prevail
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
Heirs of Mankind Atrocities. You had like all bunch of guest features on that song. So what kind of like inspired to have like the guest bunch of guests on that song?
I mean, everyone likes guests. Like, I mean, it was something we were into, and I don't know how we came up with the idea of just having all the guests on the one track. I can't remember why that was a thing, but back, we had bands we really liked, like the Kennedy Vale, Aegeon, Delusional Parasitosis, which was James's band, who's one of the guest vocalists. He was in a band called 80,000 Dead that we were really stoked about, and we loved his voice, so we managed to get them on board. But Alex was just coming up. Alex was doing YouTube covers back then, and I don't think Slaughter had really started to do anything. And we just gave the kid. We said we'll give the kid a chance, man. His vocal covers are great, and his voice is
Yeah,
great. We
yeah,
go fuck
and
it.
yeah, it's crazy because now Slaughter to Prevail are like fucking one of the biggest bands in the
Jesus.
world.
I
It's
mean,
crazy how far they've come.
it's fucking weird, but he deserves it. I mean, I saw Alex the other week. I went to watch him, and I sat backstage and spoke to him for a while, and he texted me after the show saying, thanks for coming out and all that stuff. And he said, I'll never forget you coming out because we took them out for their first ever tour in Europe, and they were opening, which is fucking crazy. But I
Yeah,
just said, look, I said, you deserve everything. You're a superstar, man. And he is. He's guy's super, it's hard to really quantify it, but his personality, his voice, his look, he's just a superstar, man. Do you know what I mean? And humble, very humble guy, man.
yeah,
But yeah, super happy for him. Like super happy for him and Jack because Jack used to be in a band. He's in all sorts of bands back in the day, but
I know it was with
you,
with Acrania too.
a Crania, yeah. So I knew Jack as well and stuff. So, but yeah, amazing to see what they've done. It's insane. So
Yeah.
good for
Yeah,
them,
but I
man.
know. Yeah, but I know around with the Architect Extinction, I believe you started touring in the USA for the first time. So, what was
First
like your
time,
first
yeah.
impression of us Americans?
It's a good question. I don't know, man. I think I was just kind of taking it all in, going over with the band for the first time. And back then we were big drinkers, so like we just we just got there, partied hard, and like figured out what jet lag was. I remember was being super tired for the first like 5 or 6 days, and just taking it all in. It was such a you know it was an experience we'd never done. It was so different, but it went really well. I mean, I think for our first tour over there, we killing it in merch, and we were like, whoa, maybe this can work because any band that's trying to get into tour the States for the first time, you're losing a lot of money, man. It's a big risk. We did take that big risk, but slowly but surely we managed to build a really good fan base over there, and it's our strongest market to tour in. So I'm really grateful for that because I know a lot of bands can go over there and it doesn't quite click properly. Whereas I think we've managed to find our footing pretty well over in the States, and very grateful for the fans over there that come out to our shows and stuff because it helps us, man. It's a very good market to be part of.
Yeah, and I remember seeing like you guys, one of your guys' first US tours, you played the Summer Slaughter tour in 2016 with Cannibal Corpse and Nile and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's like that was like my introduction to Ingested. I think I've seen almost every US tour that Ingested done since then. I think I've seen you guys like 8 times already.
Yeah, that was a big deal for us, man. That was our second US tour, and obviously, I basically my favorite death metal bands of all time: Nile, Suffocation, Dying Fetus, and Camel Corpse. And on that one tour, there was three of those bands, and I was like, this is crazy to me. So like, yeah, it ticked off a big lifelong dream of touring with three of my favorite death metal bands of all time. Great experience, it was tough, long tour. Um, yeah, it was cool, man. I'm glad we did that. That's one hell of a tour to put under your belt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I remember seeing you all at the Atlanta show, which was the last show of the tour, and I feel like it end. I'm
That's
really glad you
Masquerade.
ended in.
Yeah.
Yep, the old Masquerade. Do you
Hmm.
remember playing that? Because especially in the Heaven stage, like the old, like
Yeah.
how it is like you feel like you're on the Heaven stage, like the floors, like people if you're like seeing a show down in the Hell stage, like you could hear like the
Yeah.
floor, or, like people say like the floor would or worried like the floor might cave in and shit.
Yeah, I remember that gig, man. It was cool. Obviously, the gig was coming. The tour was at the end then at that point, and yeah, I remember that. I remember that show. I remember hanging backstage with the boys and stuff. I remember saying bye to like Terrence and fucking George, Camel Corpse and that. So yeah, no, it was a good show. Good end to the tour, man. Because I knew like it was a legendary venue. I'd obviously heard of the Masquerade. I was like, oh wow, okay, cool. You know,
Yeah, and you remember like when people like the bands are like loading their gear and shit, like they had this like makeshift
big
elevator that would
stairs,
come.
stairs and that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I remember that shit. Yeah, crazy place.
yeah. And
I
then
mean, the new
moving on,
Masquerade's great. It's really
yeah,
nice and
yeah,
new, man.
especially I've walked backstage a few times. Like it's almost like a maze trying to like get to where you need. You can almost get lost sometimes.
I like that venue though. You know, it's cool.
Yeah,
I played every stage in there. It's a cool venue. Good showers,
yeah.
man. Good
Well,
showers in that
well,
place.
well, almost. There's one stage you haven't done. They recently did the altar stage, so then you would play all the stages.
Oh, there's another one. There's four stages in that place.
Yeah, they added the altar stage, and they also have a little spot, like a spot you can get like food and shit.
Okay, cool, man. I have to next time I go back, I have to scope it out and see what's going on, man.
Yeah, definitely. And then we get to, anyway, moving on to the next album, The Level Above Human. Love this album. I feel like it's a
Yeah.
great follow-up to The Architect of Extinction. Like, tell me about this.
Yeah, I mean, musically, it's just a little bit more honed in. It's less chaotic. It's probably more death metal, strict, more kind of traditionally death metal in structure. Yeah, it was a long process to do that though, because Jay was a I think Jay had both Jay and Sam were working in restaurants, and we could only do certain weekends and stuff. So it took us fucking forever. Like I remember getting the drums done in a weekend or something like that with Lynn, and then we ended up going to one of the unis where we knew a guy that was going to do it for us. I mean, it took us it took us like 6 months to get that thing done. Like, I'm glad it was done when it was fucking over. But yeah, it was good. It was good experience, man.
Yeah. And of course, you worked with like on Silver and you worked with Frank Mullen from Suffocation. That had to be a dream come true. Like you
Yeah,
mentioned, like Suffo is like
yeah,
one of your favorite bands.
yeah. And at the time, it was basically retiring. So I was like, this is a good opportunity to get him. But yeah, Kevin Muller sorted that one out. Kevin Muller went round to I think went round to Frank's and recorded him for us. So big shout out to Kevin Muller, man.
Yeah, and of course, like with Jason Kaiser from Origin on Purge, the Parasite. So I think that's a
Yeah,
great
we
song, and I know he actually filled in for you. Saw the one time I saw you guys on this tour. He did two tours. I saw you on like there was a one tour he did with Aborted, and I think Jason Kaiser was filling in.
yeah we actually used Jason for the Gut in Europe tour the year before we we went and recorded that. And yeah, it seemed like a good idea. Jason was doing fill-ins for us when Jay couldn't do the tours, so it just felt right to get him on a record because he'd spent so much time with us and helped us live and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Still probably put this up there with like my second or third favorite Ingested record.
yeah, good memories on that one. I like that album. I like that album a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, definitely. And I remember getting this album. You played this. I forget where it was. It was this play. It was like you guys and Enterprise Earth. You did this called the Connect Live. It was like in the middle of nowhere in Ackworth, Georgia. I'm surprised it didn't play, wasn't at the Masquerade.
Yeah, that was the Eviscerator, I think, Body Snatcher
Yeah, I can't remember
and
the
Enterprise
lineup.
Earth.
I know there was like a couple Georgia
We had like
locals.
we had rotating supports. I think we have I think we had I Declare War on a few shows, and then we had
Yeah,
I think Athea were on there at one point. Yeah, I'd have to look at the post when it's it's been a bunch of years, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's just like a random show. It just like it was like a church, but also had like a coffee shop right there. It was like in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, I remember that gig. Yeah, it was in a church. Yeah, I fucking remember that show. That was a
Yeah,
strange show, man. That was
yeah. And
such
I
a
had
weird show, man.
and they
But
had
yeah,
the
I remember
and they
playing that.
Yeah, and I remember there was like a strict cutoff, so you had to like end a bit.
Yeah. There's a good food
Yeah,
spot around the corner, I remember. I remember us walking down a freeway and getting to like some fucking proper old school diner. It was great.
nice. And then moving on to 2019, you did the Call of the Void EP. I think this is a great EP before you did Where Only Gods May Tread. So how did this come to be?
It's a good question. Why did we do that? I don't know why we decided to do it. I think honestly can't remember why we did it. I know we wanted to make it different and weird. Make it a bit more dark, a bit more. I guess you could say black metal influences, and an EP is always something you can kind of because it's such a short format. You can get away with a lot more things, and you can experiment a little bit. I just think we just wanted to do it, just to bridge the gap between that and the next one.
Yeah, and I know you also like produce the EP. So how different is it like you producing it versus like having like a different producer?
We've produced everything. We've never had a producer. The band's self-produced. I don't know any different. I don't know how to do it any different, man. It's my music. It's my vision. Well, it's our music and our vision. The band collectively make decisions, but it's all no one telling us how to do things or what to do. But is what it is.
Totally. And then moving on to 2020, Where Only Gods May Tread. Love this album. This was pretty much my soundtrack during like the whole pandemic. I know during that time it really like fucked up like the whole music industry and stuff. So did like the pandemic at all sonically influence this album, or did you want to keep it like completely separate?
It was already done. We'd already done it. It was I think we did it in 2019, uh, just before 2020. Obviously, so COVID, there was no influence in terms of what the way it sounds. But we did have to seriously consider when to release it because we had a date originally set, and then we kept pushing it and pushing and pushing it, and then we just went fuck it, just get it out. We picked a date and said, look, we've got to get it out. We can't sit on it any longer, and we just got it out. But yeah, weird times, man. Really weird times.
Yeah, yeah, and of course more guest features like working with Vincent from the Acacia Strain on The Burden of Our
Yeah,
Failures. There's Kirk from Crowbar
fucking.
on and of course like Matt from Kubla Khan
Yeah.
on like tell me about working with them. What was it like working with those guys?
Well, we just done the Despise Icon tour with Kublai Khan, and Matt was a good dude, man. He came out to one of our shows. I can't remember what tour it was. He was visiting something. He gave us his hotel room and just a fucking down to earth guy. And we wanted something a little bit unusual, something different in terms of guest vocals. And Matt's completely different in terms of death metal sounding. Like he's a hardcore vocal. He's got a hardcore, sound to him. So he was cool to agree to it. With Vincent, that was my first ever tour in Europe. Actually, my first ever tour ever was with the Gage Rain. Like I filled in for annotations on that tour, so I knew Vincent a bit. We bumped into Vincent at some other time. I think we were doing a continent an anniversary show maybe before that Despise Ang. So I spoke to Vincent a little bit, and I just thought, fuck it, I'll ask the guy, man. He might do it, and he got back to me. Got it all sorted out for us. It was amazing, but getting Kirk from Crowbar was I still can't believe we managed to nail that, to be honest. But
Yeah.
we did tour with Crowbar in 2018, so we did have a way in. Like you know, we thought, fuck it. I mean, I remember I wrote that song and Sam wrote the lyrics for it with Kirk in mind, and we were like, it's probably never going to happen, man. So we did actually originally ask Con from Malevolence to do it because he had that kind of almost Kirk like Crowbar fucking voice to him, but he was in Australia, so we couldn't do it. I'm running out of options, and we just went, fuck it, let's just try. And Kurt was like, I got shit, because actually Shane, the bass player at the time, was recording Kirk for maybe was his solo project. I can't remember exactly, but he said, look, I've got him in the studio. Just send me the stuff and I'll get it done this weekend. I was like, fucking no way. And he sorted it, he got it done, man. I was like, my jaw hit the floor and I got that because I remember hearing we're actually touring Russia at the time. I remember getting the file through and listening to it in a hostel. We're like, this is fucking crazy. We got Kurt Crowbar on the record, so massive bucket list tick, man.
Yeah. And I know you also got Dom I can never say his last name on handling the bass tracks on this album. So what was it like working with him? Because I know he also engineered the last couple Ingested records.
Yeah, he's helped. He used to help Christian a little bit when he was working with Christian and stuff. But yeah, Dom did bass from them. Dom's done. Did Dom do two records with us?
I know he did the next album and
He did Ashes.
uh,
Did he do? I think he did Tides as well. Yeah, he did all three of those. Yeah, he did all three of those.
yeah.
He was filling in for Cryptopsy on a tour, and I love Dom's. Dom was in a band called The Last Felony, And if anyone's listening to this podcast and has never heard of The Last Felony, go check out The Last Felony. Too Many Humans. It's fucking crazy Canadian metal, and I was a massive fan of it. So getting to meet Dom, I was like just nerding out about The Last Felony. So me and Dom got we're really pally with Dom, and like we just said, look, Brad had left. Brad left in 2019, and we thought, Dom, you play bass. Like, come on, sort us out. And yeah, he worked with us for 3 records, man.
Nice. And I know you also did like a special like live stream show like Dominion. And so
Yeah,
how'd the idea come to be to make that live stream? Because I know it was during like lockdown where no bands could tour and stuff.
we realized that we were not going to be able to tour that album, which seemed like a shame. We bought all the fucking backdrops and shit. And we're like, oh man, it's just going to go to waste. So, and I think we saw a few people doing it, like the live stream thing. We thought, fuck it, we've got to do something. So we just rented a space, got the people involved, got the videographers involved, and just got it done, man. Just did it, just for the hell of it.
Nice. Nice. I remember like buying the ticket for the stream and I thought it was great, but then eventually you ended up like uploading it to YouTube for free.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then talking about going into Ashes Lie Still, I love this album. I thought it was a great follow-up to Where Only Gods May Tread. Tell me about this bad boy.
Yeah, man. Weird time. Obviously, this was mainly the effects of COVID and just the weird times. Like when my father passed away, I became a father myself. Like the band was on hold because of COVID. It was such a strange, depressing time, and I think all of that kind of reflects in the album. It's quite a dark album in a lot of respects. Um, we just finished our contract with Unit Leader. I think we were originally going to try and release this independently. Um, Nuclear Blast. I think we tried to. I think we reached out to a couple labels. I think we reached out to Nuclear Blast and that, and just nothing came of it. And then we got a call out the blue out of nowhere, and it was uh, it was Ryan, the A&R for Metal Blade, and I toured with Ryan when he was in the Black Dahlia, so we knew Ryan a little bit, and it was no bullshit. It was like, we're interested. This is what we can offer. It was like, this is what we can offer. And I was like, I can't believe we're signed to Metal Blade. I mean, it's signed to Metal Blade. It gave us this new regeneration, man. So yeah, really good turning point for the band, that album.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like another evolution in the Ingested sound. Because I remember even when like you were selling this
Yeah,
album like a few days early, I saw you on the tour you did with Lorna Shore and Aborted, that you were still having
yeah,
copies of
yeah,
this early. And I remember you still had like a bunch, so I didn't have to like fight anybody to like get a copy and stuff.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
good
of
times,
course,
man.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
obviously we dropped down to a three-piece at that point. There's only three of us on that record, so
yeah.
strange time, man.
Yeah, because I remember seeing you as a three piece before the album came out. Like you did that tour with Fit for
Yeah,
an Autopsy and Ingested. That had to be
yeah,
be weird. Just singer, guitarist, and drummer in the back. No bass player,
yeah. I
no
mean, we were
nothing.
we were forced to do that. I mean, we had a couple of guys lined up to be either the guitarist or bassist, and it just fell out last minute, and we're like, fuck, the tour's booked, and no one's stepping up. So we're like, fuck it, we'll do it as a three-piece. Real strange
Yeah,
time, man. Real strange time.
yeah. And of course, like working with working with Sven from Aborted, Matt from Trivium. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
like, what was it like working with them?
Well, we've been on tour with Boyd a bunch of times, man. We know Sven real well. And Sven's like a legendary vocalist in the death metal genre, and if people don't regard him as that, then you're an idiot. He's a fucking Boyd, a
Yeah,
real
he's fucking
important fan in the
badass.
scene. So like, it was an honor to get Sven involved on it. Great dude. We always have a good time with Sven. The Matt thing, I think Matt may have liked to post something to do with an album, or I ended up speaking to him, and I think he offered. Actually, that was it. He's in the Dead Seraphic Forms video because we got a bunch of people in COVID to like just do little features, and Matt was in there, and I just reached out, Matt, we're doing this, we've got these people involved, would you do it? He's like, yeah, no problem. And I think at the end of that, he went, if you want me on an album, just let me know. I was like, okay. I think I just reached back to him, oh, we're in the studio, should we do this? He was like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, fucking cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then the last album, The Tide of Death and Fractured Dreams. I thought
Mm.
this was a great album, kind of like I would consider kind of like like this the end of of another chapter, and of course with this the next album with the new lineup, the start
Yeah.
of a new one. So tell me about making this bad boy.
Yeah, strange album, man. I mean, obviously there was some stylistic choices that were were leaking over from the Ashes recording sessions, so like that feel was still there. But because we had that written for so long before, like it just we released the Ashes, and then a month later went in and recorded that. So that album was we had that in the can ready and done for like 18 months, and it was weird because we tried something new. Obviously, I did some clean vocals on it and stuff, and like
Really?
yeah, yeah. The last track, Path Once Lost, is clean vocals, and that was me trying it out on that. But this, like you said it feels like the end of a chapter. It really does feel like the end of a chapter because obviously now we've got a new lineup and new music coming out, and it's definitely very removed from that style. It's yeah,
Yeah, and of course on
strange.
this album you worked with Josh from Silosis on Expect to
Yeah,
Fail, and of course Mark Hunter from Chimera on In Nothingness. So what was it
yeah.
like working with them, and like with working with all these guest features? Does that maybe like open like some new doors, new ideas into Ingested?
Um, I don't know, man. It's the Josh thing. I think going back to the Brendan Gosmate Tread the Crowbar feature. I think I did reach out to Josh as well. I think I reached out to the Con, then Josh, and Josh. I think Josh just got the fucking message. He didn't see that message for like a year or so, and then I sent him something on Instagram while we were in the studio doing that, and he went, "I never saw this message, like asking me to do the album. And if you want me to be on the next one, then hit me up." And I went, "We're actually in the studio right now." I went, "Cool, send me some shit." I was like, "Okay." So Josh was in immediately. The fucking Mark Hunter one was weird. I think he liked something from Ashes. Like I saw him like something, and I just fucking reached out and went, "Yo, massive fan," because like Chimera, a massively important band to me. Like the reason why I play the guitars I do is because of Chimera and Rob Arnold, and possibility of reasons like top five
Great
album of all time
album.
for me. So fucking, it was very important to me when I was a teenager,
Yeah, I got to
and
finally
just
see them about a couple months ago. I drove up to Cleveland, Ohio to see them finally.
damn
Since I've been
good.
listening to them since I was like in high school.
Yeah, it's a very important band to me. Just reaching out to him and him mentioning like he's. I don't know if I asked him directly or he said, "Look, I like your music a lot. I'd like to do something." I'd have to go through the messages, but it was fast. It was real quick. We got in the inbox, shot the shit, said, "I'm in the studio. Do you want to do something?" He was like, "Yeah, absolutely." I was like, "No fucking way." Mark Hunter just agreed to be in an Ingested album, so I'll take that like as a big old badge of honor, man. That was one hell of a get. Do you know what I mean? Like, what a guest vocalist, man. So yeah, real proud of that one.
Yeah. And then now going into, of course, this past year, now we got the new era of Ingested with this
Yeah,
new lineup with like between with you and Lynn, but also have new members, Josh and Tom and Andrew. So
yeah.
so how did they end up joining the band?
Well, Josh was been our merch guy for a few years, like 3 years before we joined the band. So Josh was already in the crew. We'd used Tom on a Cannibal Corpse tour and some Christmas shows. Used him as a session guy, and Drew had done a bunch of stuff with us. Like, yeah, I think he'd done 3 or 4 tours with us at that point. And as things were coming to the end in terms of Jason leaving, it felt right to really come back as a new unit. And those were the guys that we trusted to do it. They've been with us a while. We know we know what they're like. We've lived with them. We shared buses with them. So it just felt natural just to really pull them in. Like, I mean, obviously you need to replace a vocalist immediately. So, we had to figure that out. But it seemed right to get a full lineup again because we hadn't had a full lineup at that point for like 5 years. So yeah, it felt like a new beginning, a new chapter. So it made sense to get all the boys in at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, and then maybe with this, did they maybe bring something like new to Ingested that y'all didn't have previously?
Yeah, I mean, for the last few years, all the music responsibilities was mainly me and a lot of the lyrics as well. So there was a lot of pressure for me for a few of those albums. So yeah, it's been kind of refreshing having an extra couple of new sets of ears on it and new ideas. Like Drew contributed some new stuff for the new album. He contributed a bunch of songs. Um, Obviously, Josh's vocal style is a lot different than what Jason's was. He has a different register. He's got a few more things that he does. So getting that to gel with the music as well has been interesting. Getting him to fit in a way. So it was a really interesting experience getting in. Doing those two singles we did with the band, and obviously the album's been recorded now, so we've got that out of the way. And I think we've produced something real cool, man. I think the fans are going to enjoy the new album.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to hear like bits and bobs of the whole catalog, but with something a little different, man. I mean, I can't put my finger on what we've done, but there's a different feel to it, man. But it's the material that we've done. I'm really proud of the tracks that we've done for it.
Yeah, yeah, especially loving like the two singles that you did so far, like Altar of Flesh and Nefarious Tongues. Tongues,
Yeah,
I think those are like great songs. Was that like a good representation of what the new Ingested album will sound like,
yeah.
or is that just like more to be discovered?
No, I mean, yeah, that's a real good indicator of what the main sound of the album's going to be. It's pretty no nonsense, fucking heavy stuff, man. Like from track 1 to track 10 with some stuff thrown in there. Nothing too crazy. Like there's no cleans. We've dropped the cleans this time, just because it doesn't fit the current lineup. But yeah, you're gonna hear some different influences, some melodic phrasing here and there. But yeah, I think the fans are gonna dig it. I think they're gonna probably compare it to some older sort of vibes to Ingested with its still with its own little identity. I think the fans should be happy with it, man. And as long as they finally embrace a new vocalist, like it's such a difficult one to um to get the fans' heads turned around and accepting of a new lineup, because it's obviously going to be difficult for the diehards to accept such a drastic change in terms of having a vocalist change, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. I was kind of like a little bit nervous, but after hearing those first two singles, I was like, "Yep, they haven't
Yeah,
lost a beat. It's still Ingested. Like you ripping on the guitar and shit. It's just fucking awesome."
good. I appreciate that.
Anytime, time. So with the upcoming album, like were you continuing the same vein as the Tide of Death of Fractured Dreams, or with this being like a new era, new lineup for Adjusted, like it'd be a brand new start for the band?
Yeah, I mean, like we said before, it's a good indicator with the two tracks, Alter Flesh and Furious. That's kind of the vein we've been going in. So the album's quite heavily in that kind of style. So yeah, we kind of moved on a little bit stylistically from what Ties and Ashes was, but that definitely felt like its own thing. But I feel like we're going to come back with a cool album, man. I'm really pleased with what we've done, and I'm really pleased for people to hear it when it eventually comes out, which shouldn't be too long now. But exciting times, man.
Yeah, you pretty much led me into my next question. Is there like a tentative release date for the new album? Because I'm ready to give you my money.
I mean, I know the release date of the album, but that's not getting announced just yet. But it won't be long before you find out.
Yeah, I'm keeping
It's
my
near,
eyes
it's
peeled,
nearly,
man.
it's nearly there. It's nearly there, bro. It's nearly there.
Yeah, it's like we're almost there. I'm just ready.
Yeah, it's very close.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of also like in the end to sort of wrap things up. What's next for Justin? I know you got Chaos and Carnage coming up in a few months. It's just anything else with Ingested that you also like to plug in terms of like more tours and stuff.
Well, we in a month we hit Europe and the UK with Body Snatcher, Cycle Frame, and Big Ass Truck. So that's the next thing. And then we've got a bit of time off, and then it's Chaos and Carnage. But we are working on other things towards the end of the year. We've got one thing that's pretty much locked in, but not been announced, and we are working on something towards the end of the year. But expect to see us a little bit. As usual, we always told pretty consistently in terms of coming to the States and stuff. So you'll see us. Obviously, we've got a new album to promote. So, we want to get out and play new music to people. So, yeah, busy year ahead.
Awesome. So thank you, Sean, for this interview. It's great to be able to chat with you.
My pleasure, bro.
Yeah, and congrats on the success and also 20 years of Ingested. So there's just any
Oh, yeah,
final
man.
words you want to say to the viewers that are watching this to close this out?
Well, with that 20-year anniversary looming, I just want to say thanks to people who stuck with us for so long. I'm sure there's going to be some diehards out there that have been with us from the beginning. So I appreciate your love and support. continually for 2 decades. And to anyone who's a new fan, like the band's not finished yet, man. We've got way more things to fucking do and more experiences to find out, you know. So yeah, the band's not slowing down yet, man. So just stick with us. New album's coming out soon. Come out, watch us on tour. You know, we're gonna be busy this year, so get yourself to a gig.
Awesome. So everybody, Sean Hynes from Ingested, and we'll see you next time.